Going to explain the coronary heart disease. But first, it is necessary to mention that our organism is confirmed by a little unit called cell. A lot of cells tend to join, but only if they are similar, if they have the same function or the same characteristics. Once we have a group of cells, they are going to create another part of our organism called a tissue. A tissue is defined as another part of our organism that is going to perform a function, or that is going to perform a physiological function. But to make this possible, we need two fundamental substances. That is going to be the oxygen and the glucose. The oxygen, we obtain the oxygen by the respiratory system, and the glucose by the metabolism of carbohydrates. Once we obtain these substance, both have to travel to the tissue that is going to carry out the function, or that is going to perform a physiological function. The reason is because the oxygen and the glucose work as a battery. They provide energy to the tissue, and it is going to be possible to take the perform or to complete the functional physiological function. It was mentioned the oxygen and the glucose, but have to travel to a tissue to complete the function. They can only travel by the cardiovascular system, that is going to be complete by the heart, by a group of vessels and the capillaries. They are going to be confirmed by the arteries, the veins, and the lymphatic vessels. In a normal case, the oxygen and the glucose can travel with any kind of problems, but there are a lot of factors, there are a lot of causes that can obstruct a vessel, that can obstruct the travel of the glucose and the oxygen. This is going to be caused by thrombus and atheromas. They are going to obstruct the vessel, and they are not going to let them pass the oxygen and the glucose to the tissue. When this occurs, it is going to be generated a clinical state that is going to be called as a ischemia. And ischemia is going to decrease the quantity of the oxygen and the glucose into a tissue. That is going to end in another clinical state called necrosis. And the necrosis is basically the death of the tissue. This can occur in any vessel, in any artery of our organism, but when it occurs into the heart, it is going to be called as a coronary heart disease. It is going to be characterized by an artery or a vessel in the heart that is going to be obstructed by a thrombo or atheroma. This is going to establish a clinical state in the heart called ischemia, or the famous term that is the acute myocardial infarction. The acute myocardial infarction is going to produce a clinical state with a lot of characteristics, such as the tachycardia, the high blood pressure. It is going to determine that the function of the heart decrease, and it is going finally to create the insufficient